It's been 5 months now since I graduated college, and towards the end of my senior year, I started to feel mixed emotions and wasn't sure how to conclude the whole experience. I think it was mainly because I was so burnt out and it was easy to think more about the negatives rather than the positives. So I decided not to think about it for a while, which allowed me to clear my mind. And only recently I finally put the pieces together and started to feel peace about it. And just a heads up, this video is not about criticizing anything or anyone. It's just simply my reflection on the past 4 years of college. One reason why I'm making this video on this channel is because I believe there are some important lessons that I've learned along the journey that definitely contributed to my personal and spiritual growth. It's fascinating. Once you start a new chapter in life, you are able to see your past from a completely different perspective, as if you got out of a bubble and suddenly saw all the things from the outside with different lenses. This reminds me how God's been so incredibly in control of my life. I get regularly reminded that even when things don't feel right at the moment or aren't what we want them to be, doesn't mean that it's not part of God's plan. So to give you some background, I was never an academic person and school wasn't really my thing since the day I started attending it. I grew up alongside my identical twin and we basically had every single class together all the way to the end of high school. And while it can seem like a super fun experience, which I'm not saying it wasn't, but it also had its consequences. As a kid in school, I didn't have the knowledge yet to realize that I and my twin were completely different persons and each of us learns differently. The method of delivery at school was clearly a better fit for Jonathan, my twin, than for me. He would naturally pick lectures quicker than I, and as you may guess, I somehow concluded in my mind that I'm not as smart and began to rely on him and kind of gave up. I would copy his homework, look behind my shoulder during tests, and just accepted the reality. So I graduated high school and I had no idea what to do with my life, which was really scary because skipping college was not an option in my head. I would feel like a complete failure. I think part of it was the culture I grew up in, and I also felt the pressure. And as a result, I switched over 2 majors, but the third one was finally something I felt like was the right choice. I ended up graduating with biblical studies. I knew that getting into something that would at least help me grow closer to God couldn't go wrong, and it did not. From the academic side, there were definitely negative experiences that at times felt like they were dominating the positive ones. Like, it cost me a lot of stress that I do not deal well with. And I didn't like the pace. I feel like overall the school system is very limited, that fits only certain groups of people. The overload with books to read at the same time was overwhelming, and sometimes it felt like I was just doing schoolwork to finish deadlines and get good grades so I could get closer to graduating, rather than actually learning. On the other hand, when I think about it, this is just a small part of my college experience. And I've realized that there's always something good to be learned from the negative ones. I was surprised when I realized that college wasn't what I initially thought it would be, like sweating about academics, grades, and exams. I also learned many things aside from actual lectures. The fact that it caused me a lot of stress was a great way to learn more about myself. Like knowing my limits. Sometimes I would stress about things that I couldn't control, and that's not something I want to carry with me in life. It was a great reminder to slow down and just let God be in control of my life. In college, I also got the opportunity to be part of many clubs, leadership positions, and projects which helped me to build confidence and courage to start things myself. I got a cool job to work as a receptionist, for example, on campus for lodging, which was definitely out of my comfort zone. But looking back, I'm so happy I went through it because I've learned to communicate better with people, and I also learned some new office skills. Now, all of this leads to one of the most important lessons. All of this busyness helped me to set boundaries and learn to say no. There were many times I crossed the line and was so busy with all the projects and classes I got involved with that I would get sick and really anxious. Generally, I'm a people pleaser, and college was a great foundation for setting boundaries and learning to value myself. I also brought clarity to my personality. I vividly remember 7 years ago when I came to the United States. I wasn't really happy with who I was. I was shy, quiet, and really insecure. I thought the only way to become happier and more accepted was to become an extrovert who meets as many people as possible and gets involved in as many things as possible, which I'm definitely sure was one of the main reasons why I went through so much stress. But it helped me to realize that I'm an introvert, and as much as I love meeting new people and being involved in different projects, I don't need to be around people all the time and stay busy to live a good life. In contrary, I enjoy being in quiet places. I can recharge, think, and work on my own stuff. Plus, I get to spend more time with my wife. So I'm really thankful for these experiences because they helped me to embrace who I truly am. College also gave me the opportunity to learn about different cultures and ethnicities. Not just because of the diversity on campus, but also because of the travel opportunities. I visited countries that I never thought I would ever visit. I went on a study tour where I visited most countries in South America and learned about their rich cultures. I was also able to go as a missionary and spend a year in Micronesia, which was, by the way, a huge milestone for my personal growth. And all of this leads to my final point. I'm really grateful for how much attending a Christian college contributed to my spiritual growth. Of course, there were many times when I struggled, but overall I grew so much closer to God and enjoyed all the events and lectures with awesome professors who made me love Jesus and build a desire to serve Him. And not to mention, I got to know my wife in college. Right now we're 2 weeks into our marriage, and so far it's been a great journey, and I'm excited for the future together. So how do I conclude this? I'm happy I took a little break before making this video, and I'm happy I made this video. I believe it's really important to reflect on the past. There's always something new I can learn and be grateful for all the good things. I'm not a school person and I don't like it, and I tend to speak negatively about it, but this ended up being so much more than just school. I mean, looking back on who I was and how much I've grown since then is really humbling. And of course, you never stop learning and growing, but I'm just so grateful and praise God for this journey. Plus, I have a degree now, which is really cool, and I'm sure I'm gonna use it sometime in the future. I know that each of us are different and not everyone will have the same experience as I had, and I'm not trying to convince you that college is the right choice for you. I just wanted to put it out here because sometimes it's easy to overlook past experiences and just make blurry conclusions around it, and as I almost did, when in fact it's something that I can thrive from so much. And so I hope this video encourages you in some way and maybe also helps you to look in some of your past events and see what you can learn from it. So that's it, and I'll see you in the next video.